Hi, I'm Akshat Malhotra, and welcome to the series on the fundamentals of personal finance. This is not just a standalone video, but an entire course. And so, if you'd like to make the most of this chapter, make sure you watch the previous ones. Welcome back to this chapter, the last chapter of this module. And in this chapter, we're going to study a very important theoretical but important concept on the concept of cash flows. I'm sure you must have heard of this very famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, written by Robert Kiyosaki. And in that book, he explains this concept of cash flow, which helps us understand the way the various sections of the society deal with their monthly incomes. How do the financially weaker section versus the middle class versus the financially wealthy or the rich people deal their monthly incomes? Let's begin with understanding how do the financially weaker section of the society deal with their monthly incomes. So they have a job and they get a salary from that job. They treat that salary as their income. And they use their income to meet all their expenses, meet all their needs, pay rent, food, transportation, clothes, whatever basic needs they have, they pay that off. So basically they have a job, they have that income coming from that job, the salary coming from that job, which is their only source of income, and that source of income is used to pay off all of these expenses. Usually their assets and liabilities are blank. And liabilities still may be some, but assets are usually blank. Moving on to how the financially middle class people treat their incomes. So they do have a job, they have a salary from that job, they treat their salary as the only source of income. Usually that's one source of income that everyone has. They use that income to first pay off all the liabilities that they have, the credit card bills, the home loan EMIs, any other loans EMIs, so on and so forth. And then whatever money is left, they use all of that money to pay the expenses, food, rent, transportation, clothing, so on and so forth, the basic necessities of life. So they have a job, they get the salary from their job, which is their income. They first use their income to pay off their liabilities, and then from their liabilities, whatever is left, they pay off their expenses. And finally, coming to how the financially wealthy section of the society uses their income. And that's the difference right there. They have a job and they get a salary from their job, but they do not treat this salary as their source of income. They take this salary and invest it into assets, into appreciating assets, then further use the income generated from these appreciating assets and treat that as their actual monthly income. Then further use this monthly income to pay off their expenses, and then even if they have something left, they will pay off their liabilities. So once again, the major difference, they have a job from which they get their salary, but they do not treat this salary as their income. They take all of the salary or some of the salary and invest it into appreciating assets. And finally, the money that these appreciating assets generate is what they treat that as their monthly income. And then this income is what they use in order to pay off their expenses and further to pay off their liabilities. Right? Let's look at all of these once again together. Financially weaker section of the society, they get their job, they have a salary and directly pay off their expenses. Financially middle class, they have their job, get their salary, they use their salary to first take care of their liabilities, and then whatever is left, they use that to take care of their expenses. Once again, the assets column is usually blank. And finally, the financially wealthier section, they have a job, they get a salary, but they do not use that salary as their actual income. They invest it into appreciating assets, and then whatever they earn from those assets, it was they use for their expenses as well as paying off the liabilities. And trust me, In the book, again, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki mentioned that he bought a Mercedes for his wife when she turned 40 or so. And he didn't have to pay a single penny out of his pocket. What he meant to say was that in the initial years of his life, he invested all of his money into assets that started giving him return by the time they turned 40ish. And then whatever extra returns the assets generated, he used that amount of money to actually buy a Mercedes for his wife. He didn't pay a single penny out of his pocket. And trust me, for all your friends who own luxury items or luxury cars out there, go and check with them if they took that particular luxury item on a loan. 99% of the times, the answer would be no. And so I hope you get the point of this major difference between how do the financial weaker versus middle class versus the financially wealthier section of the people, wealthiest people, that section of the society treats their monthly income, right? Now I know there'll be tons of questions popping up in your head right now. Akshat, all of this looks so beautiful on your slides, and you're explaining it in a dramatical way. But is this really practically possible? How can I actually go and invest all of my money into an appreciating asset? How will I take care of my expenses? How will I take care of my liabilities? Agreed. But stay with me. We are going to cover first thing in module 2, the first chapter of module 2, where we are going to talk about how do we apply all of these things that we've studied in theory to our actual personal financial plan, right? Module 1 was all about theory. We're now going to go on and study in module 2 how can we actually apply all of these theoretical concepts to our practical lives and make the most of our personal finances. Hope you're enjoying your experience so far. See you in module 2.
I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more such videos.